My new single One Man's Fool is out today, so I figured I'd give you a tour of the FL Studio project. So this is a pretty big project for me, a little bit more complex than is normal for me, but I really went all out for this one. So we begin here with a simple drone pad over a drum loop. The pad is right here, this phasic anomaly thing. Here's the plugin interface. This is from the Flex library in the Arkham Cityscape subcategory. Here's the drum loop. And let me show you what I did for that. I'm gonna take off all the effects on the drum loop here for a second. That's what it sounded like before I was done. And I'm actually using two drum loops. Here's one. Here's the other one. It's got a syncopated clap on it. So then there's the two of them together. First thing I did was I fed them through this hardcore plugin. It's native to FL Studio. Here's what that did. Using the preset Industrial Vocals XS. Added an EQ on it that looks like that. Just dipping out the mid so that the vocals could shine through a little bit more. Then I put this guy on it. This is Effector, which has a bunch of stuff in it, and I basically used a bit crusher on it. Made it sound more old-timey 8-bit. Then I slapped a delay on it. That's all that did. Then another EQ post-delay. Take out more of the highs. And lastly, a nice little reverb here. Here's what that did. So there's the intro. Now here, a bunch more stuff came in. As the buildings crumble. So that's a pretty cool entrance. Synthwave is one of my favorite genres, so there's definitely a lot of synthwave-like elements in here, such as this guy. This is Flex again. The subcategory is Saif Samir Synthwave, and the patch is called Astonishing. And here's what it sounded like before I did anything to it. So nice little ARP. And I put that bit crusher on. And an EQ that looks like that, just boosting some of the sub bass frequencies there. We also got nice ambient features. Check this out. Also from Saif Samir, this is Atmosfearsome. I just call it Atmosphere. Just sounds nice and ominous, you know? Also from Saif Samir, we got Glassiki. Let's zoom in on a couple of the effects that I put here right on that drop. There's this guy. I love stuff like that. And then also this guy. And finally the vocals, which are right here, the green. Here's what that sounded like. As the buildings crumble, tumble to the ground. There's an EQ. So taking out all the subs, tapering the highs a little bit, fed it through a compressor, multi-band compressor. Here's what that looked like. Then more EQ and compression in a combo plugin called TDR Nova. This is essential as far as I'm concerned. Then a nice flanger, some delay, and some reverb. So I just took off everything but the compressor so it's still loud enough, and here's what it sounds like dry. As the buildings crumble, tumble to the ground. Now we have this drop where the drums come in for the first chorus. Okay, so obviously a bunch of stuff came in there. We got this synth bass here, which is a Citrus preset called Synth 2. I layered a bass guitar on top of it. Here's what they sound like together. We have this mostly percussive element from the Arkham Cityscape library in Flex called Gated Breath. Here's just the drums and bass here together. The drums easily took me the longest part of any other element in this entire song. I'm an experienced percussionist and former drummer. So I do know how a drum set works and how to play it, but I haven't actually sat at a kit in probably 15 years. But I like focusing on realism for when it comes to drums. Even though these are programmed, I want it to sound as real as possible, which means that I need the part to sound playable. Oh, let me take the bass out. There it is. I love drums, man. I love drums so much. We got this guy back to the Safe Samir library using a preset called Speed Run. Here's what that sounds like. Pulse pad here, again from Citrus. This one's called Pulse Star. One of my favorite pads from the Harmless plugin, and this is a preset called Less Than Stable. Pretty simple, nice and warm. Back to Flex Arxon City, we got a preset here called Static Horn Flight, right here. Then we got some synth brass. This took me a while to dial in the way that I wanted it to. We got 3 different layers here going on. So first we have just this VI native to FL Studio. It's called Brass Section. And this is using like just a basic delay. We also got a flex patch on here from the Essential Winds library called Trumpet Staccato. It's weird that it sounds like this by itself. And finally, we have a synth brass, which is this guy here. I believe this is another Harmless preset, just called synth brass. Here's what that sounds like. Now, the first chorus doesn't actually feature full electric guitar. That element gets introduced in full in the next chorus, but there is on the tail, like the post-chorus section here, is the first time you hear the rhythm guitar. I actually did play that. A more different array of effects for the vocals in the second chorus, the second verse.
Now as the daylight fading ends another day.
You could probably hear that I doubled those. But the second chorus is where things really get juicy. But the second chorus is where things start getting juicy. This is where the rhythm guitar comes in. All my life I've been searching for something never comes. Oh, by the way, peep the Star Trek merch. Yeah. Then the third verse gets some cool other stuff that I hadn't featured in the first 2. We got more synthwave, baby. So we got a Safe Samir patch called Tight FM Bass. Another Safe Samir patch called Silver Lad. And lastly, one of my favorites. This is a Citrus patch called Conqueror. I use this on just about every song that I've ever done. I just love that. And all together they sound like this. And of course, we can't forget the Orc Cloud. This is another Citrus patch here, but listen to this. So here's what all that sounds like in context without the vocals. Let me mute the vocals. Damn, I'm good. And then one of my favorite moments, this wicked drum fill that I wrote coming out of the third verse into the final chorus. Check this out. Yeah! In context. Let us not forget the screams from your boy. Then we get a sudden transition to the more like proggy section of the song. And one of the first elements introduced there is the acoustic guitar. There's a couple layers of it, starting with this one. Just one chord. That's that guy right there. Here we get 2 layers all played together. And then we get a second layer of rhythm electric guitar. I actually suck at playing electric, which is why the first element I showed you was just one note. And then here we got like a 1975-ish type deal. I'm so dumb. Then later the lower distorted electric comes in, and the 2 of those together sound like this. Let's throw the acoustics in, all 4 guitar layers. Let's throw the speed run and bass back on it, bruh. Drums! And finally, the last new element introduced in this section are the keys. So I got 2 layers. I got a grand piano, which is easier to hear. Kind of like a Coldplay clocks type deal going on here. And then I've also put like a Rhodes electric underneath that. And together they sound like this. All together now. Woo! Then some layered vocals and of course a high note at the last second, just so we can end on literally a high note.
There are only dreams like any other, like any other.
So there's your tour of the project file. Go stream One Man's Fool on whatever platform you like to use, or you can buy it from wherever you like to buy it from. Go forth, blow it up, live long and prosper. Thank you very much.